Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be discussing the rest of the path of Erin, what impacts could lie for the Bahamas, for Puerto Rico, the U.S. British Virgin Islands, and also potentially the East Coast. And we're going to also take a peek at what is next in the tropics for the rest of our hurricane season. This is my YouTube channel. If you've never been here before, be sure to like and subscribe for more daily streams, videos, and more. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. This is the latest update from the National Hurricane Center. This is the 5 p.m. Eastern uh, advisory. And as you can see, we do have uh, Erin moving west-northwest at 17 miles an hour. The pressure moving at 993, or the pressure, sorry, is at 993 millibars, and the max sustained winds is 75 miles an hour. Thus, earlier this morning, Erin did become that hurricane that we all expected. The latest cone from the National Hurricane Center, no more watches or warnings have been issued for any of the islands out here or along the East Coast, but the sense is that it is going to become a major hurricane by Sunday and go up and out in between the East Coast and Bermuda and potentially impact nobody. Is kind of what we're hoping for here. They did release a rip current kind of map, and you can see here is definitely as um, we go through here with Erin, you can see that along the East Coast we do have kind of moderate impacts and definitely high impacts over here. And as Erin moves in between Bermuda here and the East Coast, we're definitely going to see a lot more moderate rip currents along here. So if you're trying to get that last minute beach time down there in Myrtle Beach or over there along the coast of North Carolina, down near Daytona Beach, be careful of those rip currents because they're going to be pretty strong um, as the system comes on by. So this is the wind speed probabilities. This is just for tropical storm force winds, and you can see that um, the the areas here that were in kind of that yellowish color has now gone more towards your north now. So now you only have like a 10% chance to get any of these winds. Turks and Caicos, you got like a 10% chance. And just barely on the edge of North Carolina coast, you got a 10% chance as well. Bermuda, you're going to be on the eastern side of this, so as of now, you got the roughly a 30% chance of those tropical storm force winds. But most of all the winds are going to stay offshore. The latest rainfall potential from the National Hurricane Center, um, you can see here that we do have isolated areas here in the U.S. British Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. They could see up to 4 to 6 inches, which is 100 to 150 millimeters. And up here near Turks and Caicos can be anywhere from 1 to 2 inches or 25 to 50 millimeters of rainfall. Looking at our latest model guidance, we're going to look at our global models and then our hurricane models. The latest from the Euro takes it kind of north of Puerto Rico and the islands, which is forecasted. Moves a little more closer towards the west, bringing a little more impacts maybe towards Turks and Caicos, maybe with that banding a little bit. But as this starts to take that turn towards the north, the latest Euro kind of does a wobble. You see how it goes kind of to the west and then north, and then it goes towards the west again before it straightens itself up and curves out to the north. So we do got to watch for those wobbles there with the euro, but it does show no impacts to the U.S. on this latest run from the European. Going to look at our Euro AI now, which is the counterpart to the European model. The Euro AI takes a little more southern to where you get maybe a little bit more impacts towards Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, the U.S. British Virgin Islands. And then as this storm continues to move up to the north, maybe a little bit of impacts there for Turks and Caicos as the storm kind of swings by. And then maybe a little bit of impacts there for the North Carolina coastline as the Euro AI shows no landfall, but does show that wave kind of cruising by there on the latest run. And the next run we'll look at here is the GFS model, which the 18Z is coming out, which the 18Z does show that it is more likely just going to take that strong turn towards the north. So unfortunately, since we don't have that whole run, we're going to have to go back to the 12Z GFS model run. But you can see the 12Z GFS has it further north to where no impacts to anybody, and maybe some impacts towards Bermuda, but takes it far to the east and no problems for anybody there as well. So no impacts there according to the GFS. The Canadian model, the 12Z there, does show it a little to the southern side, which would bring more impacts towards Puerto Rico, the U.S. British Virgin Islands. It takes it a little close towards Turks and Caicos, but does eventually, swing this to the north in between Bermuda and the East Coast, causing no impacts towards the U.S. on the latest run here from the Canadians. And so it does look like a U.S. impact is very unlikely from this run. This is the 18Z icon. I haven't seen this yet. I've seen the 12Z, so we're going to see what the 18Z icon shows, which it does show a little bit further towards the northern side. You could see with the 12Z run that it had it roughly in the same spot. But latest icon, oops, you can't see the time. There we go. Latest icon does bring it north of Puerto Rico and the U.S. British Virgin Islands, bringing minimal impacts. And then as it continues its move towards the west-northwest, gets pretty close towards Turks and Caicos, could bring a little more impacts there. Then as this run continues, it brings this down to an absurd low, brings it down to like 904, just an insane system. And then more than likely, it's just going to curve out to sea. So in terms of strength, I believe the icon is the outlier, but you can see again, more than likely on this run, no impacts to the United States. The latest run here with the H-Wharf, this is the 12Z run. And let's see, this brings us, I might have to scroll down a little bit so you can see the islands potentially here. So you can see there's the U.S. British Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico there, getting some potential banding from the system as it moves on by. But again, minimal impacts there. And then if we keep this going, just kind of really strengthens, stays the same strength, and really doesn't, just kind of curves out to sea on this run here. Doesn't really impact the British Virgin, or sorry, Turks and Caicos, the Bahamas, just keeps us out at sea, causing no problems for anybody. And the latest HMA model, the 12Z here, we'll just kind of scroll down so you can see Puerto Rico and the islands, which are right here, does bring a little more impacts towards the U.S. British Virgin Islands, not much to Puerto Rico, as it turns north a little sooner, starts to gain strength, and then just be a monster storm out there, out to sea, causing no harm to anybody there on that run. The halves A on Erin, let's run this back and scroll down. You can see with the U.S. British Virgin Islands, again, maybe some banding. Puerto Rico, not much. And then as this continues, maybe a little bit of banding towards Dominican Republic, maybe. But mostly misses them. And then as the system gets a little bit more broad, maybe some whiplash bands over there near Turks and Caicos, sorry. And then as this takes that turn towards the north, just kind of brings us more out to sea, turning north, causing no problems for anybody. And then the halves B hurricane model again brings us out towards nobody, but on this latest run does show a little bit more banding there towards the U.S. British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico. The Dominican Republic is spared. Turks and Caicos, maybe some maybe some whiplash banding as it swings by and then turns out towards the east and north and becomes a problem for the fishes. So, and here is the ensembles. Here, this is both the 12Z ensemble. So this is the latest ensembles. This side over here is the GFS. This side's the Euro. We're going to look at both of them here pretty quickly. So we'll start with the GFS ensembles first. And we'll kind of zoom in down here so you can get a better look. So the GFS ensembles show one outlier member here that shows getting close. But other than that outlier, most of the members, even if it takes a more westward push, it is going to eventually turn to the west or turn to the north and go out to sea and be a there we go, and be a problem for nobody. So no U.S. impact landfall there. For the islands, the GFS ensembles do take it right here on the southern side, um, which would bring it a little bit closer to the U.S. British Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. A couple of the members bring it pretty close over here towards the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos. Again, maybe flash banding, but I don't see much as in major impacts from this GFS run of the ensembles. The European ensembles, excuse me, have more of an abrupt turn. You can see how it's kind of going west northwest, and then kind of takes that abrupt turn. Again, only one member shows it getting close to the U.S. That would be the kind of an outlier ensemble. So most of the ensembles keep it far enough north of the U.S. British Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico to bring little to no impacts, as well as Turks and Caicos. The more westward members over here would bring you more impacts over here, but it wouldn't be a direct hit or a landfall. And again, most of the members show going out to sea and being a problem for the fishes. So, but I believe that's all I got for you guys today. Kind of a short, quick video. Just want to get this video out because it is a little later. You can see just in the 5-day forecast, just going 5 days out, here on the GFS, you got one outlier member here, and you got a couple outliers out here on the Euro. But most of the consensus, especially on the GFS, is either here or here. And on the Euro, it's either here or here. But we can't rule out these little couple ensembles. But the trend is more westward, a little southern, but it will turn and cause no problems towards the U.S. Now, I did say I think that's all I got, but we do got to go over what could be next for the United States and the rest of hurricane season. So, I did not want to look at this video. So we're going to take a look at that, and we're going to kind of see what the latest models show as what could potentially be happening next after Erin comes through. Again, this is all hypothetical, so don't take this as a forecast. Don't take this as this is a for sure thing happening. We're just looking to see what kind of trend do we have out there. So after Erin moves up and out of the U.S., causing no problems, you can see here on the GFS, after Erin starts to move out, that we have a tropical wave here, a tropical wave here, and another tropical wave coming off of Africa. So according to the latest GFS, shows a pretty active assignment out there in the Atlantic. But you can see how it takes this first wave. We're just gonna kind of focus on this wave right here. These back two waves kind of go out to sea and cause really no problems. So just watch this first wave right here. So again, this is just a hypothetical, so don't take this as an actual forecast. So this latest run of the GFS does take it to where it does stay a little southern and then moves a little northward. Potentially makes a landfall there near the U.S. British Virgin Islands, near the Lesser Antilles, moves over Puerto Rico, over the Dominican Republic and Haiti, goes southern of Turks and Caicos, goes over Cuba, and then gets into the Gulf as a monster, hurricane entering the Gulf. But keep in mind, I just want to reiterate, guys, that this is 312 hours out on August 28th. This is, roughly 2 weeks away, 14 days. So don't take this as a grain of salt. We look at the last run. The last run, let me bring this all the way out to here. The last run had this near Florida, and the run before that had nothing. And one run had something, then nothing, then nothing, then nothing. So you can see only out of the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 runs, 3 of the 5 runs show another potential system. So don't believe if you see someone say that there's a massive hurricane heading towards New Orleans, because that's just not what, that's just too far away to even say anything related to that. The latest GFS, or the latest European, sorry, shows that after Erin moves out, that we do get into a pretty quiet period, according to the Euro, where after Erin we get tropical waves that come off of Africa, but none of them form up into anything. So the latest European is not seeing any more tropical waves all the way till towards the end of August, according to the European. So just gonna have to wait and see what happens there. We'll bring this here. Let's see the Euro AI. This is the AI model. So the AI model does show that we do get, again, a wave down here back in the MDR that's moving towards the Lesser Antilles, remains pretty weak, and just gets pulled up by this trough up here, up in northern Canada, and then shows maybe another wave coming off uh, Africa, and again shows this first wave that kind of takes it up to the north and away, and that second wave remains very weak, and towards the end of the run here does show that it is moving kind of westward, but this trough over here might try and pull it more to the north like it did with this weaker wave right here. So shows potentially, according to the URAI, that we are going to get another wave. It's going to get pulled to the north, no problems, and then the second wave is going to remain really weak and potentially drift into the Caribbean, maybe even the Gulf. So, and I know the Icon doesn't go out that far. I'm not for sure about the Canadian. It goes out 240 hours, so 7 days. So it does show though that after Erin we do get a nice tropical wave forming up there in the MDR, but it shows that it is just going to gain latitude rather quickly here and be a potential fish storm. We get a couple more waves trying to go off of Africa as well. But just something we need to watch. I'm not saying that any of these are going to impact, but we definitely need to watch the MDR after Erin moves up and out, because we could have potentially more ways that are going to try to move towards the west and either go on an Erin path where they go and turn out to sea, or they might be weaker and potentially go into the Gulf, or just go out into the Eastern Pacific. So we do got to watch kind of this next train of waves as it comes through. Um, so that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys later. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. That'll be greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for a live stream. I don't know when tomorrow, maybe around 7 p.m. Central Time tomorrow, right around the 8 p.m. Eastern update from the National Hurricane Center. We'll go live. We'll probably be live for roughly 3 hours or 3.5 hours tomorrow night. So I'll see you guys then. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.